Score-7 years ago. Now, I can only imagine the sadness and the pain that was thrust upon President Lincoln when he started uttering those words, looking over the bloody battlefield at Gettysburg that was now filled with graves that had become the final resting place for thousands of young men who were willing to fight and die for a worthy cause. And in the interest of fairness, a few miles south, similar words, though less remembered, being said over the graves of thousands of other heroic soldiers, sailors, and Marines. We were a nation at war with ourselves. Now, 150 years later, many would say we're still at war with ourselves. Not a military conflict, but a war of differences. Differences of opinion, of ideologies, of politics, of religion, and the list can go on and on. And at a time when we should be most united, our country seems to be more divided than ever. And we can allow those differences to consume and destroy us, or we can mellow them out for the positive betterment of ourselves, our family, and our nation. Well, regardless of how we lead our lives, whether we give to society or take from it, whether we agree or disagree about the state of our government, the president, the Congress, the Senate, the wars, the courts, the high taxes, whatever. Regardless of our differences, we can always take comfort in the fact that legions of young men and women in uniform that have the same differences we do are willing at the drop of a hat to put aside those differences, band together, fight, and die if necessary to protect our right to differ. Now, regardless of how we do, we need to think about all those young, middle-aged, and even older men, women in uniform that have done so much for us. And it doesn't mean that they're all military overseas fighting battles. We have to think about closer to home the legions of strangers, neighbors, family members that also devote their time and talents to protect our way of life, our safety, health, and well-being. And I'd like to urge every one of you, beginning today, to never miss an opportunity to thank a police officer, a firefighter, an emergency medical technician, a soldier, a sailor, an airman, or a Marine for the sacrifices they make for all of us. Please keep that in mind, because we're citizens of a still great nation, regardless of its wars. And I'd like to think that we can all find common ground to unite us and put aside some of those differences that destroy us. It's very important, including even names that divide us. European Americans, African Americans, Mexican Americans, Italian Americans. I look forward to the day, I hope and pray, that it won't be too long from now, that we will always be united. And when someone asks who we are, each one of us can stand up and say simply, clearly, and very proudly, I am